Hello everyone, my name is Arun Kakar. I'm the market editor here at Artsy on the editorial team. I'm delighted to be joined here by Lovett, who's the European Director at Maddox Gallery. We're going to talk about collectors, hybrid relationships, and I think the best place to start is where we are right now in this newest branch of Maddox, your third in London. Fourth, sorry, apologies. Yeah. I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about coming here, this space now, and
Absolutely. I mean, it's a wonderful space. I'm sure many people are familiar with this space from the previous gallery. It's always upsetting to see any gallery close, but I feel that we've done a good service in coming in here and carrying on as a gallery. It's not offices, it's not a restaurant, and I mean, our owner, Jay Rutland, always has his ear to the ground. So it wasn't as if, you know, we were waiting for a place, but he always keeps his ear to the ground, looking for something that would work for us. And this is a spectacular space. You know, it's absolutely perfect. It's beautiful to work. And of course, we're in the epicenter of Mayfair. So yeah, it's a great location.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. This room is amazing as well.
I love this room.
Yeah, so light. I wondered if we could start by talking a little bit about Maddox's strategy when it comes to using online as well as physical spaces.
Yeah.
And we could start a little bit by talking about how you first sort of began as an online gallery when it came to joining Artsy at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I think we joined in 2018, and we very much, I mean, Artsy is a market leader, I mean, global leader in online art market. So that was a kind of no-brainer for us. I mean, you've got ArtNet, but they deal more in news and auction news. Then you've got Ocular. We did spend some time working with Ocular, but you know, we didn't find that terribly fruitful. You know, Kunis we worked with a little bit. But Artsy are absolutely out front, you know, they're the leaders for us. We also wanted to get into the American market. So your reach, of course, you're an American company, you've got your headquarters in New York, so that was ideal for us. We now have 50% of our Artsy clients are American. I think we've got 25% are German and then 9% Swiss. So for us, that reach. I mean, when you think back, I often think, like 15 years ago, it would be pretty much inconceivable thinking about clients buying artwork that they'd never physically seen, that they weren't standing in front of it and examining it. Now we send high-res images, we send videos, and that seals the deal. Now there's 64% of our sales are digital sales, wow, which is incredible. When you think then that's more common than somebody walking in and looking at the artwork. I went to a gallery the other day, and it was quite interesting. They'd been an online gallery, and then they took a physical space. And I said, why have you moved? And because they were doing very well online. And she said, it's for the artists. And I thought that was really interesting. She said the artists like to have their private views and they like to see their collection all together and they want people to experience that. But I thought that was interesting. It wasn't to do with the clients. It wasn't client-led. Yeah. However, you know, I think it's all part of the puzzle. I don't think that you can, you know, you can have an online gallery and perhaps not of bricks and mortar, not of a physical space, but you can't do it the other way around now. You know, it doesn't work like that. You have to have an online presence. Yeah. And we're bombarded with information. The whole time it's coming in every direction. But you know, it's like I said, it's all part of it. It's changed. It's not going to go back. We have to keep adapting the whole time. We have to keep moving forward.
And has that characterized how Maddox has developed over the years?
Absolutely.
As you've grown physically, you've also grown online.
Absolutely, 100%, and it's all important to us. I mean, we don't neglect any aspect. We've got a wonderful team. Alix, who looks after Artsy. We've got Gio, who is fantastic, and she gives, you know, she analyses all the auctions and everything that's happening in the art world and our figures, and so we're constantly looking at how we can improve things. But we also do that in the gallery, you know, where it all matters. That's all I can say. I mean, it's inconceivable for me to think about just going into online or just a physical space now, because I would be thinking that's sheer madness now for anybody not to be online.
Yeah, yeah. I want to talk a little bit about developing those relationships with collectors. You mentioned the international reach that online has afforded you.
Yeah.
How have you kind of strategized and embarked on iterating around building those relationships online and consistent relationships as well? I
mean, consistency is key, and visibility, and that Artsy does offer us that. So that is a lot to do with the online presence. I know that we have, you have different accounts. So with our account package, we get banners on the newsletters, or we get a little bit of editorial. So sometimes you actually put us on Instagram as well, and we will get an immediate kickback, you know. So that visibility online is hugely important. Accessibility. I mean, if you think of all the platforms now, you've got TikTok, you've got Instagram, you've got WhatsApp, you've got emails coming in, you've got calls coming in, you've got people coming in, and we are just bombarded now with information, and so we have to respond. And that is key. It's how quickly we respond, how well we respond. I mean, the team at Maddox will tell you that I bore them rigid with going on about it's all about service. It's about, you know, just going that extra mile for people. People appreciate it. Yeah. They really do. And, you know, you probably find this hard to believe, Aaron, but I'm quite a demanding customer. And you know, I'm fed up calling and asking for somebody to call me back, and they don't phone me back. Or, you know, somebody said they're going to turn up and they don't turn up on time. So I will always try and do exactly what I say, to a fault. You know, I can't bear when people promise something that they don't deliver. So I will get clients come to me at times and they will say, Fee, I've seen her work in another gallery, better price, but I want to buy from Maddox. And they will say that. And that is a joy for me, because we will always try and price match, as every other gallery will do, but it means that we're doing something right. And that matters. And a long time ago, somebody said to me, they said, Fee, why you know, do you get a lot of repeat business? And let's not forget that 80% of our business is 20% of the clients. And that's across the board. That's not just in art, that's everywhere. You know, it's, if you just key in to clients and you give them, some of my best clients have been the most difficult at first. And sometimes I think that's because a lot of other people go, well, you know, I'm not going to bother there. Whereas I see it as a challenge, and I'm a people pleaser, I guess, at the end of the day as well. I want to deliver. I want to deliver what makes them happy. Art is joyful. Art is life enhancing. Art is the most incredible spiritual experience. And that, am I sounding too new agey?
No, not at all. We love this.
Yeah, but it's a driving passion. And I think we saw that during the pandemic as well. So, you know, people were isolated, they were on their own, they felt ostracized. And so if we were talking to somebody on the phone, it mattered more. You know, it was far more important to them. So that we cemented relationships during that time. And I know our sales went up from 2019 to 2021, they went up 11.5%. So the pandemic also assisted people, you know, that maybe hadn't put their toe in the water and bought online, you know, that they would just walk into a gallery. All of a sudden they couldn't. And they were at home, and, you know, art's a drug, you've got to get it somehow. So,
And it's interesting, though, having heard what you said about being a people person and making sure to establish those relationships, when those relationships, as they might have done in the pandemic, started online, and then were then converted to in-person relationships, and there was that transition between the world coming back to normal again. How did that kind of process work out for you, and what was the kind of way that you navigated that transition?
Well, people were desperate to get back out there,
Yeah.
weren't they? So our events, I mean, our roster of events is something to behold. And I mean, it's wonderful. It's great for me. We move at such a pace. Maddox is just never stands still, always moving forward. And we do Q&As, we do children's workshops, we do shooting and driving days, things that are nothing to do with art. So we're constantly building relationships. Again, it goes back to that. You know, you can't get away from that. It's about building those relationships, the trust. I mean, that's something that Artsy has as well, that I think for those who haven't bought online before, everybody's got slight trepidation about, is it going to arrive? Is it going to be what I thought it was when it arrives? Have I got any comeback if it's not, you know, what I want? Whereas with Artsy, you know, you do your due diligence, you do your condition reports, you do, you know, your COAs, you check it all, so people feel a confidence there. But you know, online has democratized art. There's no doubt about it. And that is, again, very much the Maddox ethos. You know, Jay has always been against elitism. I mean, it just blows my mind to think that anybody would walk in anywhere and feel unwelcome. How can you possibly enjoy the art if you're like feeling like, you know, you're not, you know, looking dressed well enough to be in there, or somebody's talking down to you? I mean, it's appalling. David Yarrow actually said recently, last week, he said, you know, I love when Maddox have got an event. He said, because everybody feels so comfortable, feels so relaxed. And he said, you know, he said, I walk into galleries and I'm like intimidated. And I was like, this is you, a fine artist, saying that you feel intimidated walking into art galleries. This needs to be a thing of the past. You know, I feel really passionate about it, and I feel passionate about it especially, as I said, because you have to connect with the art. How can you buy, how can you know, make good judgments if you don't feel comfortable? That's just awful. It's, the antithesis of what I would want anybody to feel in our spaces.
For sure. And have you noticed online people that, new clients that you've made connections with online, how they've arrived is kind of perhaps from non-art backgrounds, different kinds of backgrounds, different sorts of collectors?
I mean, that's a joy as well. So our clientele has undoubtedly changed since we opened. Some of them, we talk about the Maddox family, and they really are. Some of them I see more than I see some of my extended family, and I really mean that. I hear about it all the time. So it's very important, again, to be inclusive. And they have grown. It's been a journey for them. So I feel that at first, when people start buying art, and people, I mean, I'm sure the other gallerists here will know there are people with the most incredible properties, and they haven't really bought any art, and they're starting out. And that, you know, that's a very exciting journey. And I think at first it's hand-holding. It's not talking down to people. It is educating people, making them feel comfortable, making them feel that their choices are informed. And once they feel that, you know, they're on a roll. And it is different. But it's been lovely to watch some of our collectors feel more confident and feel like they know and progress and you know, have serious collections. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, investment used to be a dirty word. I mean, my mother, I grew up with, you know, we don't talk about money, darling. You know, it's not the done thing. And I think it was a bit like that with art. I think that there was a kind of snootiness to it, that it was, you know, you wouldn't necessarily ask. But don't tell me it wasn't in the back of their minds, because nobody in their right mind wants to invest, no matter how much they love a piece. They don't want to think that there's a possibility that they're going to lose money. So, and I think the pandemic is partly responsible for that too. I think that now it's very respectable, and it's good because it's kind of, you know, the scales are away from everyone's eyes now. It's like, let's call a spade, you know. None of us have a crystal ball, but we will say what it's done historically, where it looks like it's going. And in 2022, Maddox did just shy of 28% return for clients.
Wow.
So which is very impressive.
I mean, we've published a collector insights report earlier this year. We found that younger collectors actually are more likely
buy
than older
online?
ones to identify as investment as one of the reasons why they buy art, which I thought was really interesting.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Arun, an older collector is probably more secure financially.
Yeah.
So, and I think, so they probably, it's needs must as well. They think, well, you know, if I don't have a huge income, then I'm not going to blow, you know, half my salary on something that's not going to hold its value in case, you know, we live in difficult times and volatile times. And so in case the bottom should fall out, then if I have to sell this, am I going to do well? Yeah,
no, exactly. I'm interested hearing a little bit more about relationships with collectors that are international. You mentioned that half of your Artsy clients are based in the US. How do you kind of maintain those relationships that are online mainly and through those different channels?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of international clients, and I think in the UK now, 60% of dealer sales are actually international. So this is not peculiar to Maddox. This is across the board. I mean, a lot of our clients obviously are business people, and they travel here, and they'll come and see us. They'll pop in. You have to be very receptive as well. So, you know, different timelines in different parts of the world. I will be watching something, trying to unwind on a Friday night, having a glass of wine, and then I'll be getting a WhatsApp at 11 o'clock from a client who's just woken up. But that goes a long way, you know, that little WhatsApp reply to say, do you know what, I'm not in front of my computer right now, I think it's this, I'm going to check in the morning, I'll get back to you, goes a long way. Also, we do art fairs as well. So again, it's another part of the puzzle. It's all part of the same thing. It all matters. You can't neglect any part of it. We live now in this multifaceted world. Like I said, we're bombarded every which way. The world is becoming smaller. The art world is definitely quite small, you know. We all bump into people and there's so many connections. And so it's all imperative. But yeah, I mean, I have a lot of WhatsApp conversations going on. I had somebody today who is in Germany, he's on his way back to Switzerland. I had somebody last night I was speaking to, she's just arrived in India from Japan. It's like everybody's moving around, nothing is the way it used to be. Yeah. And again, like I said to you, Arun, it's all about adapting. Yeah. We have to adapt, we live in a different world. And it's exciting, you know, also, you know, where we're going to go. Yeah.
No, for sure. I mean, this year feels like the year that we really came back from the pandemic as well. Last year might have been a bit of an adjustment, parts of the world still not have lockdown, but this year feels like the year that everything really is back. Yeah. How would you say the pandemic affected things for you coming back now? Was it like a fundamental shift in any way, or like a rebalancing?
Rebalancing. I mean, I was okay working at home because I'm pretty self-motivated. Other people find it far more difficult. I think that the workplace generally has changed, that people now, I think now that, you know, companies realize that people can be very productive. A certain type of person can be very productive working from home. But to be honest, when everybody got back in for our company anyway, everybody was delighted to be able to be back in there and seeing people again. And that was a general feel as well, you know, that people were just so happy you know, I just remember coming out of the pandemic and going on the tube, and people were actually smiling at one another, and you know that doesn't happen now again. They've gone back very quickly, but everyone was so pleased and happy to be out there. And you know, again, online is incredible, and we can't do without it. But the visceral feeling when you stand in front of an artwork and you feel that artwork, there's nothing like it. And it's like, you know, it's like talking on Zoom, isn't it? And then talking in person. They're completely different. And, you know, both, I guess, have their place. Personally, I'm not a fan of Zoom, but I'm much more of a kind of person-to-person. But, you know, they have their place. And we had to adapt. But who'd heard of Zoom before the pandemic? I didn't know what it was.
Alien,
Microsoft Teams? What?
God. I just want to talk a little bit about London, because Maddox is a London gallery. You're a real ambassador for the London art scene. You've opened a new branch here. It seems like an interesting year for the art market generally. I just want to know from where you sit here in London, how things have been going, your thoughts generally.
I mean, we're not the only gallery to have opened in Mayfair. You know, in the last couple of months, Stephen Friedman, wherever Harry is, Stephen Friedman opened, Pilar Corias, you know, so there are other galleries. We all opened around the time of Freeze, which wasn't a coincidence. And so, you know, London Freeze, 85,000 attendees. You know, we are still an epicenter of the art world. We are a cultural hub. London is like nowhere else. It's the same with fashion, and it's an exciting place. That will never go. That will never go. And again, because it's so fast-paced.
It just like there was a sense of doom and gloom that maybe was dispelled over the last couple of months, and it seems to be a new positivity.
Yeah, absolutely. And whilst we're in global turmoil, and I think that we all have to acknowledge that the atrocities that are happening and how difficult that is for everyone, there is a sanctuary in art. You know, there's an emotional sanctuary and a financial sanctuary. So I feel very positive about the future, and like I said before, all new agey, but there is a spirituality to it. And when things get difficult, and when people find things emotionally challenging, art's a huge comfort. Art's a huge comfort.
Great. I just have one more question, then we'll go to the audience for Q&A. What can we expect from Maddox in 2024? It's almost
you think I'm going to tell you, Aaron?
Teasers, maybe.
Seriously. It's always an exciting company. So, and you know, the reason probably that I can't tell you some of it is because there'll be some things that I'll just find out next week, because it is that fast moving. But you know, we're going up to Cheshire to do a pop-up, so that's our first experience in the north of England, and we do that, and we're looking forward to that. We're going off to Art Miami. We have got the most incredible roster next year. You know, we have a lot of primary artists that we're working with, and we're very committed to that. We're committed to developing those primary artists, strengthening those relationships. That's thrilling to see them develop as well. You know, it's not ever an easy road. It's not a smooth road. It's a challenge, but I, for one, would get bored if it weren't challenging. So, yeah, there will be lots. There will always be something. And like I said, Jay's always got his ear to the ground. And, you know, when this space came up, it was just a no-brainer. And as I said, I'm delighted that it's, you know, I'm always sad to see any gallery, and I mean that's absolutely heartfelt, any gallery go. And I think that we should be a community and we should support one another, and I think it's vital. But, you know, it's just the best space. And so if another amazing space comes up, who knows? I mean, we have to do our, you know, due diligence, and we have to make sure that it's the right location. But if I know Jay well enough that I know something comes up that is just irresistible, it's in a city that we feel is right, would work for us, we will be going for it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. Well, on that note, I'll throw open to the floor any questions anyone might have.
No? Yeah.
I'd love to with the gallery, you have any experience in that?
Digital collective that's become a physical
Or
collective.
collectors that you met through Artsy or other platforms?
Oh, undoubtedly. I'm just trying to think of one. I mean, undoubtedly there will be some, well, a lot of them. I probably need to look through my database and be able to pull them out of matter, but absolutely there are, yeah. I mean, because the first foray for some of our clients is going online and purchasing. And as I said, you know, it's often through Artsy because they feel a confidence. They know that they're safe buying through Artsy, that they've got some kind of recourse if anything were to go wrong. But we have so many international clients. I just can't think of one in particular that. Yeah, I can't think of one in particular, but there are many. There are so many. Yeah.
I'm interested about, you mentioned we're overwhelmed by noise, social media,
Yeah.
TikTok, all of this stuff that's going
Yeah.
on. How you kind of go about cutting through that noise when it is so crowded, like how you reach the people that you want to reach and make sure that you're targeting that messaging to those people you want to reach
Determination.
to. Determination, yeah.
Absolutely. Persistence, you know. And I think for any dealer, they hear me. You know, you don't give up. You know, and multi-channeled. So, you know, whilst the branding is coming from online, you know, it's very much online is very much like the physical space. So what we put on our website, what we put on Artsy will be what's hanging in the gallery, and it will be the same branding throughout. So,
Yeah.
you know, you'll get that sense of Maddox and who we are.
And that idea of being welcoming and the importance of being welcoming to a broad amount of collectors, how is that articulated online? Is that through just making the art as easy to view as possible?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we put out a lot of primary works. Interestingly, we sell more secondary works. And
Yeah.
I think probably if you speak to anybody in a gallery, they will say similarly. And we will have works that the gallery along the road will have, you know, the same blue chip works. Yeah. And again, online, on Artsy, they can do price comparisons, which they can't do coming directly to us. But it goes back to that old service. It goes back to the service. What can you give that differentiates you from the competition? And online, I suppose it's the first point of contact.
Yeah.
How quickly do you respond? You know, if you've got an inquiry sitting, I mean, I wouldn't be able, I remember Jay laughing because I was like, I literally can't sleep at night. If I've got an Artsy inquiry that's come through and I haven't replied, I won't sleep. And I'm sitting sometimes like going, oh, I've got to do this one. So it's being responsive quickly. It's about, we work in a fast-paced world. You know, if I don't get back, you know, they might have, you know, gone to another couple of galleries and asked about the same work. If I'm in there first.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And one thing we hear from a lot of galleries that I speak to is it's always a learning experience going online, and there are kind of different roadblocks and things to navigate along the way. Have there been any big learnings for yourself online?
Any big learnings? I would just say, I would say that it's about keeping those relationships going. That's what it is. Do not neglect any relationships. Don't, you know, don't forget to go back to people. Don't, that would be the biggest one for me. Yeah.
Great. Well,
I have a question for you.
Oh, no.
Obviously, Artsy's hugely successful for us.
Yeah.
What do you think? And we've experimented with various different platforms, some of which you mentioned earlier, and some of which we still use, but unquestionably, Artsy is by far and away the most successful for us by a long way.
Yeah.
What do you think the secret to website, it's the functionality, it's the editorial content they have, or all of the above, or something else?
Yeah, I think it's everything. And actually, even just meeting the staff from Artsy, they're very personable. And so Matilda's our account manager, and she works very closely with Alix. So she's feeding back trends as well. So it's a two-way relationship. She feeds back trends to us, so that informs our choices. And that undoubtedly helps us. I personally like the fact that they're not like Kunis, that, you know, it isn't the advisory team that I know you do private sales, but it's a very small team, because I do think at times that can be a conflict of interest. So I like the fact that it's more you pass over the lead, we deal with it, and we take it from there. Mm-hmm. Personally, I like that better. Thank you. Is that all, Jay? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for coming to this space, because we really love being here. And we encourage, like Jay said the other night at one of our openings, we are never happier than we have got a full gallery. We love it. We love people popping in and saying hello, coming in for a coffee. As I said, it doesn't need to be about art. I get lots of people talking to me about all sorts of things that are nothing to do with art, which is great. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much,
pleasure.
Aaron. Thank you.
Thank you.
And long may our relationship continue with Artsy.